Happy birthday, midnight. Crawl out the grave. Light the f***ing candles. Let the nightmares misbehave. Nah, scratch that, let me see. Happy birthday, midnight. Crawl out the grave. Light the fucking candles. Nightmares don't behave. Happy birthday, midnight. 1 year of creepy shit. Lock your doors, the horror baby's grown a bit.
And tonight, we're going right back to where it started. For Midnight's first birthday, I'm revisiting the first 3 videos I ever made for this channel. 3 original stories, written by me, back before I knew what the hell I was doing.
You still do not know what you are doing.
Anyway, I brought them back, rewritten, reworked, re-recorded, and we also have 2 guest appearances. First, from Narrative Strokes. She is a great narrator, please check her out. And last but not least, a submission from a member that has been with the channel since the beginning. This is Mark Mathern's original story. I hope you enjoy the video. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, and hopefully next year you can join in with the celebration too. Midnight Creepypasta is still here. Fuck knows how. It started how these things always start, with my kid coming home from school on a Friday and acting like her entire future depended on me buying some plastic nonsense I'd never heard of. Mom, I need a labubu. I was in the kitchen at the time, grating cheese over leftover spaghetti, so I sort of half heard her at first. I thought she'd said baboon or balloon or some new YouTube word I was already too old to understand. A what? A labubu, she said, with the exhausted patience of an 8-year-old who has just realised her mother is tragically uncultured. Everyone has one. Literally everyone. I looked at her over the cheese grater. And what's a labubu exactly? It's like this little monster thing. It's cute, but creepy cute. It has big ears and fur and these teeth. She pulled her lips back with her fingers to show me. 9 teeth, sharp ones. Lovely, because that's exactly what every child needs. A furry creature with a dental problem. She ignored that completely and started telling me about blind boxes, secret rares, different collections, how some of them were worth loads of money, and how Sam from school said if you got the ghost one, it could grant wishes. Or curse you. Apparently Sam wasn't clear on the finer details. This was the same Sam who once convinced half the class that swallowing watermelon seeds made vines grow in your stomach, so I wasn't exactly rushing to add his research to the family budget. But my daughter had that look. The one kids get when a trend has fully taken over the playground and your refusal to participate will apparently destroy their social standing forever. So the next day, because I'm weak and easily emotionally blackmailed by small humans, we went to Pop Mart. The shop was packed, wall-to-wall little boxes, all bright colours and glossy eyes, with strange creatures staring out from every display like they knew something I didn't. My daughter made a beeline straight for one particular shelf and picked up a box from the exciting macaron series, turning it over in her hands like she could somehow feel which one was inside. "This one," she said. "This one's lucky." We paid for it, and she didn't even make it back to the car before she started ripping at the packaging. By the time I'd unlocked the doors, she was already holding the little thing in both hands. Her face fell. "Oh," she said. "It's just a normal one." I leaned over to look, and honestly, normal wasn't the word I'd have chosen. It had greyish-brown fur, big pointed ears, and round, dark eyes that looked slightly too wet. Its little grin showed those famous 9 teeth, and there was something about the mouth that bothered me straight away. It wasn't scary exactly. Plenty of toys look a bit weird. But this thing looked like it was enjoying a joke I wasn't part of. There was also a smudge under its chin, like a manufacturing mark, or dirt caught in the fur. I remember thinking I should wipe it off when we got home. She named him Boo. From that moment on, Boo went everywhere. He came to the table at breakfast, sat on the arm of the sofa during films, watched her do homework, watched me cook tea, watched us watch him. My daughter talked to him constantly, and at first I thought it was just normal kid stuff. Children give their toys personalities all the time. One of her teddies once had a 3-week career as a dentist. But Boo wasn't treated like a toy. He was treated like a friend who'd moved in. Boo doesn't like carrots, she told me one night, pushing them around her plate. Well, Boo can pay rent before he gets opinions on dinner. She gave me this look, then glanced down at him in her lap. He says you're rude. I laughed, because what else do you do? Kids are odd. They say creepy things by accident all the time. They have no filter and a terrifying sense of timing. Then, a few nights later, I woke up at around 2 a.m. with that horrible feeling that something in the house had shifted. You know when you wake up and you don't know why, but your body has already decided there's a problem? The house was quiet, rain tapping against the windows, heating pipes clicking like they always do. Nothing dramatic. I got up anyway. Her bedroom door was slightly open, and when I passed it, I heard whispering. I pushed the door with 2 fingers, just enough to see inside. She was sitting up in bed with her legs crossed, Boo balanced on the duvet in front of her. Her back was straight, her head tilted slightly down, and she was whispering to him so softly I couldn't make out the words. Then she stopped. She waited. After a few seconds, she nodded, like someone had answered. Then she whispered again. I stood there in the hallway, barefoot on the cold carpet, feeling like I'd walked in on something private. I nearly went in. I nearly said her name. But then she smiled at the doll in this small, secretive way, and I backed away instead. The next morning, I told myself she'd been half asleep, maybe dreaming, maybe playing. I told myself a lot of sensible things, because sensible things are easier to live with. That afternoon, I found her in the garden. We've got a big tree at the far end, too close to the fence, always dropping leaves and twigs and bits of bird mess all over the grass. She was sitting underneath it in her school tights, with Boo beside her on the dirt. At her feet was a nest. It was completely wrecked. Twigs snapped, feathers scattered, little bits of shell and down stuck in the mud. 3 baby birds lay in the middle of it, their tiny bodies curled in on themselves, their beaks open like they were still waiting to be fed. My stomach turned. "Oh, sweetheart," I said, walking over carefully. "The nest must have fallen." She didn't look up. She was running one finger over Boo's ear, smoothing the fur down. "Yes," she said. Something about her voice made me stop. Then she added, "Boo didn't like the noise they made in the morning anyway." She said it casually, flatly, like she was telling me the post had arrived. I stared at her for a second, waiting for her face to change, waiting for upset, confusion, guilt, anything that looked like my daughter. But she just sat there, calm as anything, with mud under her nails and that awful little doll beside her. I wanted to pick Boo up right then and throw him straight in the bin. I didn't. I wish I had. Over the next few days, I started finding feathers in the house. 1 stuck to the windowsill in her room, 2 on the landing, a little grey one on the bathroom floor, damp from someone's wet foot. I kept telling myself they must have come in on shoes or clothes from the garden. Then I found a small pile under her bed. At first, I thought it was stuffing from an old toy, something she'd ripped apart and hidden because she knew I'd moan about the mess. I crouched down, reached under, and dragged it into the light. The feathers were clumped together, grey and brown, and stuck with something dark. Then I saw the beak, tiny, crushed, almost hidden under the matted down. I dropped the whole thing like it had burned me. That evening, I sat her down in the living room. I made sure my voice stayed gentle because whatever was going on, she was still my little girl. She sat on the sofa with Boo tucked under one arm, his face peering out over her elbow. "I need to ask you about the birds," I said. She blinked at me. "The ones in the garden, and the feathers under your bed." Her eyes moved to Boo, then back to me. "I'm not angry," I said, even though I was scared enough to feel sick. "I just need to understand." She stroked the top of Boo's head with her thumb. He didn't like them. "Boo?" She nodded. "And did you hurt them because Boo asked you to?" She looked almost offended then, as if I'd misunderstood something obvious. "I helped him," she said. "He said I could be his best friend." That was the moment I stopped pretending this was just a phase. That night, I waited until she was asleep. I stood in her doorway for a while, listening to her breathing, watching the shape of Boo beside her pillow. Then I went in, picked him up as quietly as I could, and took him out of the room. I wrapped him in 2 pillowcases, taped them shut, put the whole bundle into a shoebox, put the shoebox in a bin bag, then another bin bag, and carried it up into the loft. I shoved it behind boxes of old baby clothes, Christmas decorations, and a broken fan we'd been meaning to throw away for 6 years. There was no way she could get to it. She hated the loft ladder, and even if she didn't, she'd never find it under all that crap. The next morning, she didn't ask where he was. No crying, no tantrum, no searching the house. She just watched me. At breakfast, from behind her cereal bowl, in the hallway, while I found her shoes, through the rearview mirror, on the school run, quiet, steady, patient watching, like she was waiting for me to admit something. By lunchtime, I couldn't take it anymore. I went up into the loft. The box was exactly where I'd left it. The tape was still sealed. The pillowcases were still wrapped the same way. Nothing looked moved. Nothing looked touched. But when I opened it, Boo was gone. The pillowcases were empty. Just dust and a faint smell, like damp fur. That night, I found him sitting on her desk. I didn't think. I just grabbed him, took him outside, and carried him down the garden like he was something diseased. I put him on an old metal shovel, soaked him in lighter fluid, and struck a match. The fire caught fast. For a few seconds I thought that was it. Fur curled, plastic blackened, the little ears began to warp. Then the screaming started. It wasn't a sound in the garden. No neighbour came to the window. No dog barked. The scream was inside my head, high and sharp and constant, like static forced through teeth. I clapped my hands over my ears, but it made no difference. The flames didn't dance the way flames should. They twitched, jerking in short little movements, and the air around me tasted metallic, like I'd put a battery on my tongue. I stayed there until there was nothing left but a blackened lump on the shovel. Then I buried the ash at the bottom of the garden, under the tree. When I came back inside, the house felt too quiet. My daughter didn't come out of her room that night. No drink of water, no toilet trip, no asking for one more cuddle. Around midnight, I went to check on her. She was lying flat on her back, with her eyes open. I stepped closer and said her name. She turned her head towards me slowly, as if she'd been waiting. "You made Boo angry," she said. Then, her nose started to bleed. It came all at once, dark and steady, running down over her lips and chin. I grabbed tissues, shouted her name, tried to sit her up, but her whole body went slack before I could get hold of her properly. She's been in hospital for 4 days. The doctors say they can't find a reason. No injury, no infection, no seizure activity that explains it. Her vitals are normal. Her scans are normal. She looks like she's sleeping, except she doesn't wake up. I went home yesterday to get her clean clothes and some of her things. Boo was on her windowsill, clean, dry, smiling. I didn't scream. I was past screaming by then. I picked him up with both hands, carried him to the back door, and set him on the step. I didn't threaten him. I didn't burn him again. I didn't call him a stupid little cursed bastard, even though I wanted to. I just whispered, "Please, bring her back. Take me instead." He was gone by morning. The doll, the pressure in the house, the strange heaviness in the air, all of it. And the good news is, she woke up yesterday. She didn't remember anything. She was tired and confused and starving. The doctors called it a miracle. For a few hours, I nearly let myself believe them. I brought her home this morning. She laughed at something on telly, asked for toast, and hugged me so tightly I cried into her hair. I'm writing this down now because about an hour ago, just before bed, my daughter said something. She was standing in the hallway in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes, completely half asleep. Then she looked past me, towards my bedroom door, and whispered, "I don't think you'll like the dark place." I froze. "What?" She yawned and hugged her teddy tighter. "Where Boo lives when he's not talking," she said. "He said you promised to go." Then she padded back to bed, like she hadn't just turned my blood to ice. I've had a pounding headache ever since. I'm lucky, I suppose. That's what people used to say when they found out I'd inherited my parents' farmhouse on the Isle of Dreadmore, a beautiful 2-acre property tucked away from the road, with fields on 3 sides, and my only neighbour a good 2-minute walk away. It suited me perfectly. I've always been a bit of a recluse. I'd rather spend my day watching cute puppy videos on my laptop than pretending to care about someone's weekend plans in the real world. So moving there felt like peace. Proper peace. No traffic outside my window. No neighbours stomping around above me. No awkward smiles at people I didn't want to talk to. Just me, the house, and quiet. I had enough money tucked away that I didn't need to rush into work straight away. And for 3 months, I lived in near-perfect solitude, aside from the occasional food delivery or parcel left on the porch. Then I met Todd. Todd was tall and skinny, with shoulder-length brown hair and the kind of energy that made you feel exhausted before he'd even finished saying hello. At first, I resented him for disturbing my little bubble. He lived in the nearest house, which was still far enough away that I could pretend he didn't exist most of the time, but not far enough to stop him eventually knocking on my door. To my surprise, Todd turned out to be pretty cool. Annoying, yes. Loud, definitely. But cool. He showed up at exactly the right time too, just as the dread of finding a job had started chewing a hole through my stomach. He told me he was an influencer, which made me want to shut the door in his face at first, but apparently he made silly videos for bored kids on YouTube, and those silly videos had earned him enough money to buy his house outright. His problem was that he didn't have time to maintain it. My solution was to offer housekeeping services, a bit of dusting, some sweeping, feeding his rabbits when he was away on business. taking in packages. Easy work. And maybe, if I'm honest, I was also playing the long game. Todd had money, no real responsibilities, and a strange fondness for oversharing. Who knew, maybe one day I'd marry into that algorithm-fueled fortune. The job suited me fine. We barely saw each other, which was ideal. I got paid to be alone in someone else's house for a few hours a week, and Todd got to pretend he had his life together. Then things changed in late January. One night, Todd showed up at my door grinning like he'd won the lottery. Snow was coming down hard behind him, thick white flakes catching in his hair and on the shoulders of his coat. He offered me £500 on top of my regular pay to do one thing: wait for a very special package while he was gone. No cleaning, no feeding the rabbits, no errands. Just take the package in and keep it safe until he got back. I told him he didn't have to pay me extra for doing something I'd already been doing for months. But truthfully, I had my eye on a new laptop, and £500 was £500. Besides, it was snowing heavily. The wind was sharp enough to cut through my coat, and the only thing he was asking me to do was drag a box off his porch. Easy money. The package arrived 6 days later. I'd gone to bed around 10 the night before, and by the time I opened my curtains at 10 the next morning, it was sitting on Todd's porch. At first, I didn't think much of the late-night delivery. This was Dreadmore after all. People kept strange hours here, and asking too many questions was a good way to end up hearing answers you didn't want. But the size of the thing stopped me. From a distance, I thought it was a cardboard appliance box, something like a fridge or washing machine. Up close, I realized it was wooden. Proper wooden panels, nailed shut, roughly the size of a washing machine and far heavier than anything I was going to shift by myself. I sighed, pulled on my wellies, and stomped over through 5 inches of snow. My thin coat did nothing against the wind. By the time I got to Todd's porch, my fingers were already numb and I was in a foul mood. That mood got worse when I realized Todd hadn't left the garage unlocked, and the spare key was missing too. There was no way I was getting that thing into shelter alone. I called my mum's friend, Angela, who worked at a warehouse, and she said I could borrow a dolly. She arrived about an hour later, wrapped in a huge coat, cheeks red from the cold, already complaining before she'd even got out of the van. Together, we cleared a path through the snow, rolled the dolly into position, and tried to get the box into my garage for safekeeping. The first wheel went over the garage lip without a problem. The second caught. The box tipped. Angela swore and grabbed the side of it, but we were too late. It dropped hard against the concrete with a dull, ugly crack from somewhere inside. My stomach sank. Todd had paid me £500 just to keep that box safe. Whatever was inside had to be worth a fortune, or at least valuable enough that he was willing to throw stupid money at me to make sure nothing happened to it. We got it upright again and pushed it against the radiator in the garage. I tried to tell myself it was fine. If something had broken, Todd could blame the delivery company, or the packaging, or himself for ordering something ridiculous in the middle of a snowstorm. I closed the garage door and tried not to think about it. For a while, that worked. Then the smell started. At first, it was faint, cold and heavy, with a sweetness underneath it that made my throat tighten. It reminded me of being a kid and finding a dead deer near the train tracks, bloated and stiff in the summer heat. Except this smell was in winter, and it wasn't just in the garage. It seeped out from under the door and into my kitchen. It clung to the hallway. It sat in the back of my throat, no matter how many candles I lit or windows I cracked open. By the 7th day, I couldn't pretend anymore. There was a reddish-brown liquid pooling beneath one corner of the wooden box. The stench was unbearable. Something inside had broken. Shaking, I opened the sliding doors for fresh air and pulled out my phone. I had to tell Todd. I had to face it. Maybe whatever was inside had leaked. Maybe it was food. Maybe it was some ridiculous preserved animal for one of his videos. Maybe there was an explanation that didn't involve me being responsible for ruining something worth more than my house. I took a deep breath and hit dial. Then I heard it. A vibration. Coming from inside the box. I froze, phone ringing in one hand, the other clamped over my mouth. The buzzing continued for a few seconds, muffled by the wood. Then I cancelled the call. The buzzing stopped. The garage went silent again. I ran to my dad's old workbench and grabbed a hammer. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped it twice. Using the claw end, I wedged it between two of the nailed wooden panels and pulled. At first, nothing happened. Then the wood gave with a splintering crack. The smell hit me first. Sour. Meaty. Wrong. My eyes watered instantly. I gagged so hard my whole body folded forward, but I forced myself to look. And then I saw him. Todd. Folded inside the box like something packed badly for shipping. His knees were drawn up against his chest, his body wrapped in soiled blankets, surrounded by empty food containers and a half-full water bottle. His skin had a greenish tinge, and when the panel came loose, one hand flopped out through the opening. Lifeless. But that wasn't all. Tucked near his chest was a camera. Its red light was still blinking. Still recording. I dropped to my knees and vomited onto the concrete floor. Todd was dead. Very dead. I backed out of the garage and called the police, sobbing so hard I could barely get the words out. They came quickly. Too quickly, almost, considering where I lived. They asked questions, took statements, watched the footage. In the end, they said it was an accident. They told me it wasn't my fault. I told them about the package arriving while he was away, about the box tipping when Angela helped me move it, about the garage, the radiator, the cold, the smell, the buzzing phone. They said the camera had seen everything. But what I didn't tell them was that I saw everything too. It wasn't difficult. Not really. Todd had trusted me. Todd had told me things. How isolated he was. How nobody really checked on him. How he'd cut ties with most of his family. How his whole life was online, and offline he barely existed to anyone. He'd told me about the stunt before he did it. A locked box survival challenge. Something extreme. Something viral. Something that would get people talking. My job was simple. Order the box. Drive it out to a location. Fill it with supplies and arrange collection. Then when it came, undo the quick release. Wait for the reveal. He never considered what would happen if the box collection was later than he scheduled, if his water contained sedatives, or if someone nailed the lid shut. The police said the footage explained enough, but I knew there was more than enough on that camera to make things messy, if anyone watched too carefully. So I deleted just enough. Not all of it. That would have looked suspicious. Just enough to make it believable. Just enough to turn it into a tragic, stupid, viral stunt gone wrong. See? Todd and I had grown close. Close enough for him to tell me he was lonely. Close enough for him to fall for the poor girl next door trick and promise me plenty of cash. In writing. Close enough for me to realize there was no point waiting years to marry into that algorithm-fueled fortune when opportunity had already been delivered in a box. That's why I don't take in packages anymore. I've already got everything I need. The whisper. Lena didn't know what she had done to deserve this. Her life was going great. New job, beautiful new flat with very affordable rent. Everything should have felt like it was finally falling into place. But something wasn't right. At first it was barely noticeable. A soft tap at the window on nights when the wind didn't blow. A flutter in the curtains when the house was still. She felt it. She felt something watching. Waiting. Judging. People said the whisper only came for those who had something to lose, something to fear, something to break. Lena had done everything right. She didn't remember inviting it in. She never opened the door, never left the window ajar. But somehow, it lived there now, tucked between the coat rack and the kitchen clock. It didn't scream or shout. It just whispered. On days she was in a rush, you'll forget something important. When she went out with friends, they're already tired of you. When she was already 4 miles down the road, are you sure you locked the door? At first she tried to ignore it. She blasted music, filled the house with fake laughter, drowned it out with busy hands and blinking screens. But the whisper always waited. It didn't mind the noise. It thrived in the quiet between distractions. It was clever like that. Some days it was smaller, just a flicker in her chest. Other days, it grew tall and crooked, standing behind her in the mirror while she brushed her teeth. Is that blood on your toothbrush, Lena? That's serious. A faint shadow appeared in the seat next to her in the lecture hall. You're falling behind. Work and uni? Why did you think you, of all people, could juggle both? The more she tried to push it away, the worse the taunting became. Your heart's beating fast, Lena. You'll need your phone ready for when you have that heart attack. Then it would giggle. Then again, you probably won't reach it in time. She spoke to her friends in vague metaphors and hypotheticals, trying to work out if they could hear it too. But they didn't understand. The whisper made sure of that. They won't understand, Lena. I'm not the problem here. It's you. If you talk about me, they'll think you're crazy. Then softer. Are you crazy, Lena? She asked her doctor once if they could remove it, cut it out, trap it in a jar. The doctor gave her breathing exercises and a referral. But not a knife. How will breathing help you when you can't breathe? The whisper asked. Remember how you can't breathe, Lena. That oxygen you're breathing isn't enough, is it? Eventually, Lena stopped leaving the house. The whisper stayed quieter when she was inside. If she stayed in, it couldn't predict her tripping over and embarrassing herself. It couldn't fill her head with noise until she forgot how to speak properly. So Lena stayed trapped in her new flat. But although the whispers were quieter, its inky blackness coated the walls, the ceiling, the floor. It flowed over the furniture. It enveloped her bathroom so she couldn't wash, her bedroom so she couldn't sleep there, her phone so she couldn't call anyone. Not like anyone would want to hear from her anyway. It told her as much. Then one morning, with the curtains still closed and the clocks all blinking, a letter dropped through the slot. It landed with a soft thunk against the floorboards. Lena didn't rush to open it. She stared at it from the couch, curled in a blanket that hadn't moved in days. The whisper slithered around the letter, coating the envelope in oily dread. It's nothing, it hissed. They won't help you. They never do. Don't get your hopes up, Lena. You'll only make it worse. But something about that envelope was louder than the whisper that day, louder than the silence. She crawled across the floor and picked it up with shaking fingers. A referral. A real appointment. The whisper shrieked. It wrapped around her shoulders like wet tar, weighing her down like an anchor. It slinked across the walls, howling. They'll laugh at you. They'll see how broken you are. You'll mess it up like always. But Lena stood up. The whisper clung to her legs, to her back, to the hallway door. It filled the air, making it too thick to breathe. She forced her way forward, the mist of the thing like walking through jelly. Her hand closed around the door handle, and she opened it. She stepped out. The light stung her eyes. The world felt loud. Her hands trembled. But she had the letter in her coat pocket. She had her keys. She had enough. The whisper followed, of course. It always would. You didn't brush your hair, Lena. People will see you looking like that, Lena. But for the first time, it trailed behind her, and she didn't stop walking. Lena stepped into the waiting room, with her coat still buttoned wrong and her socks not matching. The whisper reminded her of this constantly. She sat with her knees together, hands tucked between them like a child in trouble. Across from her, a wall of motivational posters smiled back. Bright colours, smiling faces, words like, "You are not your thoughts. Breathe in. You're doing better than you think. You made it." The whisper hissed. It slithered over the carpet, up the chair legs, and onto the walls. It tried to obscure the posters, thick and smoky, like grief in gas form. It wrapped itself around the hopeful phrases like ivy around a dying tree. And Lena sat back, defeated. The psychiatrist called her name. Both Lena and the whisper entered the room. Several weeks later, Lena sat in the same seat. The whisper sat beside her. It no longer enveloped the room, but it still made its presence known when it needed to. She glanced at the posters once hidden by the thing. It angled its withering body, obscuring her vision. But Lena wanted to read one. So she focused, really focused. "I want to read that one," she whispered to herself. And the whisper shifted. It didn't vanish, but it moved, like fog parting when headlights cut through. Lena leaned forward and read, "You are not alone." And the fog recoiled. The receptionist called her name. Lena stood slowly, heart hammering, skin prickling with awareness. The whisper tried to claw at her throat, tried to drag her back down. But she knew she was in control. She took a step, then another, and the whisper stayed seated. It would wait. It always did. But it no longer owned her. Not entirely. Because Lena was walking towards something else.
Guy held the jerky like it was a sacred artifact. He pinched the bag between two fingers, raised it to eye level, and nodded like he'd just solved nutrition. "This," he said, "is the only thing that keeps you alive on a hike. Everything else is sugar pretending to be food." Damson snatched it out of his hand. "This tastes like something you'd give a bored dog. We're getting trail mix." "Your trail mix has 90% raisins," Kai said. "Raisins are lies." "They're carbs," she said. "Carbs keep you moving." Eli dropped his pack into the trunk. The thud sounded like resignation. "We need something that won't melt or attract wildlife." Kai pointed at him. "Protein bars? Really? They're the saddest food on earth." "They work," Eli said. Tamsin crossed her arms. "So does not eating drywall." Kai groaned. "Fine, let's starve." I grabbed a random bag of mixed snacks and tossed it into the trunk. "We're not starving. We're leaving. Get in." Kai grinned like he'd won something. Tamsin muttered, "Tyrant." Eli shut the trunk like he already regretted coming. They argued about who would ride shotgun, and it was decided by a long game of rock, paper, scissors. I was driving, Eli in the front passenger seat, and Kai and Tamsin in the back. Kai leaned forward between the seats before I even pulled out of the parking lot. His breath hit my shoulder. "So, Rhea, on a scale of 1 to 10, how mad will you be if this cave is actually just a drainage pipe?" 11, I said. Tamsin hit his knee and shouted, 12. Eli didn't look away from the window. "If it's a drainage pipe, I'm turning around and going home." Kai held up a finger. "Optimism, that's what we're missing." "No," I said. "What we're missing is you not touching my shoulder while I'm driving." Kai pulled his hand back, grinning. Tamsin snorted. "What we're missing is his impulse control." Kai shrugged. "Impulse control is for people who don't find caves." "You didn't find it," she said. "You found a PDF." "A vintage PDF," Kai said. Eli sighed. "That's not a thing." The road narrowed into backwoods gravel. The car rattled like it was trying to shake us off. Kai narrated every tree like he'd planted them. Tamsin countered every claim. Eli watched the terrain like he was mapping exits. I kept my hand steady on the wheel. "If we die because of a PDF, I'm haunting all of you," I said. Kai laughed. "See? Optimism." When we arrived, Kai jumped out before the car stopped. He spread the map across the hood. The paper was creased and water-stained. The contour lines blurred like someone had dragged a thumb across them. "Entrance is here," he said. "Survey team marked it years ago. Nobody updated it, which means we're basically the first ones in." Tamsin leaned in. "Or it means the cave wasn't worth updating. This looks like something from a conspiracy forum." "It's from a state archive," Kai said. "Mostly." "Mostly?" she said. "Every time you say that, it means you found it on a subreddit run by someone named Cave Truth Seeker." Kai shrugged. "The link was on a forum. The file's legit." Eli crossed his arms. "If it's outdated, the terrain could be unstable." "That's why we brought you," Kai said. "I'm here so we don't die?" Eli said. Tamsin tapped a broken contour line. "This literally disappears." "It's an old scan," Kai said. "This isn't watercolor," she said. "We're wasting daylight," I said, folding the map. "If this cave sucks, I'm blaming all of you equally." Tamsin grabbed her pack. "If this is another one of Kai's wonders, he's buying dinner for a month." Kai slung his back. "You'll thank me." Eli checked his gear. "All right, let's go. Stay together." "Please," I said. "Let's not get lost before we even get inside." We headed down the trail. The trail narrowed fast. Branches brushed my sleeves. Runoff channels cut the ground. Kai walked ahead, tapping his back like he needed the sound. Tamsin muttered about the map. Eli stayed beside me, quiet. Kai pointed. "There! Look! I see the entrance!" The cave mouth sat between two slabs of stone, low and wide. The edges looked sharp, like the rock had cracked recently. No moss, no weathering, just a dark opening. Tamsin stepped closer. "Okay, this looks promising." Eli crouched by the packs first. He always did. He checked his headlamp with a short click, then pressed the casing with his thumb to make sure it wouldn't rattle loose. The beam held steady. "Check your lights," he said. Kai flicked his on and swung it around like he was hosting a game show. "Bright enough to blind God." Tamsin shielded her eyes. "Point it at the ground, genius." I tested mine. The switch stuck for a second before the beam snapped on. The light cut a thin line across the stone. Good enough. "If mine dies in there, I'm leaving all of you behind," I said. Kai gasped dramatically. "Ow, Rhea, that's harsh." "It's realistic," I said. Eli moved to boots next. He pressed the sides of Kai's boots, checking the laces. "These are loose." "They're fine," Kai said. "They're not," Eli said, tightening them with quick, practiced pulls. Tamsin rolled her eyes but lifted her foot when Eli tapped her ankle. He checked her tread, then mine. The gravel shifted under us while he worked, small stones grinding under his palm. "Last thing we need is someone slipping," he said. Kai stretched his arms out. "We're not climbing Everest." "No," Eli said. "We're going underground. Worse." Tamsin zipped her jacket up to her throat. "Layers. It's colder in caves." Kai tugged his zipper until it caught under his chin. "Happy?" "Not even close," she said. I pulled my sleeves tight and zipped my jacket. The fabric rasped against itself. The air already felt cooler near the entrance. "Okay," I said. "If anything moves in there that isn't one of us, I'm leaving Kai behind first." Kai clutched his chest. "Betrayal." Eli checked his own gear last. He pulled his jacket closed, tightened the straps on his back, then tapped each of our shoulders once. "Stay together," he said. "Seriously," I said. "No wandering, no exploring, no vintage PDFs guiding your life choices." Kai grinned like that was optional and ducked inside. Tamsin followed. "Get in line," I said, stepping after her. Eli looked at me. "Stay close." "I'm glued to you," I said. We stepped inside. The temperature dropped. Stone shifted from rough to smooth. Our headlamps cut thin lines through the dark. The tunnel sloped downward. Kai kept moving. "This is sick. Look at this place." "Slow down," Tamsin said. "You don't know what's ahead." "Kai, seriously, wait," I said. "I can't see your damn feet." "Watch the ceiling," Eli said. "Those ridges aren't stable." "Great," I muttered. "Love unstable ceilings." The tunnel bent left, then right. The stone changed texture again. Then it narrowed. The ceiling dipped. The walls pressed in. Quartz flecks flashed in our lights. "This doesn't match the map," Tamsin said. Kai snorted. "Maybe the cave changed." "Caves don't change," I said. "People get lost. Guess which one we are." "Focus," Eli said. "Ceiling drops again. Rhea, stay close." "I'm not going anywhere," I said. "Just don't stop moving." We crouched, then crawled. Palms scraped cold stone. The air felt tight, like the space didn't want us there. "At least it's not muddy," Kai said. "Give it time," Tamsin said. "You'll find a way to make it worse." "If a spider lands on me," I said, "I'm burning this cave down." The crawl space stretched long. My shoulders burned. My knees ached. The stone under my palms shifted from rough to polished, like something had worn it smooth. "Why is this part so smooth?" Tamsin asked. "Airflow, water, repeated contact," Eli said. "Contact with what?" she asked. He didn't answer. "Nope," I said. "If you know, don't tell me." Kai's voice brightened. Hey, it opens up. Told you this was worth it." He was right. The ceiling lifted. The walls widened. We stood in a chamber. Dust drifted in slow spirals. The floor sloped toward a darker passage. Tamsin brushed grit off her knees. "Better. Still creepy." "Creepy is an upgrade from crawling through a throat," I said. Kai turned in a circle. "Awesome! This is like a movie set." Eli checked the ceiling. "Don't touch anything you don't have to." "Kai," I said, "that means you. Hands in your pockets." Kai ignored him and dug into his pack. "Kai," Tamsin said. "No, seriously." "I didn't eat breakfast," he said. "I'm grabbing jerky." "Can you eat when we're not inside a rock coffin?" I asked. "You're impossible." Food smells scary in caves, Eli said. It's sealed, Kai said. Tamsin glared. That word again. You don't know that. Kai ripped the bag open. The sound echoed through the chamber. We all stopped staring at him. Kai, seriously, stop, I said. That echoed like a gunshot. Kai, Eli whispered. It's not smart, buddy. It's just jerky, Kai said. Something answered from the next tunnel. A grunt, a scrape, with something heavy shifting. Tamsin grabbed my arm. Tell me you heard that? I did, I said, breath tightening. Probably rocks, Kai said, but his voice wavered. No, Eli said. It was movement. Another scrape, but closer. Put it away, Tamsin said. Kai shoved it into his back, hands shaking. Okay. Then it stepped into our lights. It stood too tall for the space. Its body stretched thin under gray skin pulled tight over ribs. The torso looked unfinished, like the frame underneath didn't match the shape it was trying to hold. Its shoulders sloped forward, giving it a hunched, searching outline even when it didn't move. Its arms hung long, ending not in hands, but in tendrils. They dangled in loose coils until they twitched, then tightened in fast pulses, each pulse making a faint, wet click. The surface of them shone slick, almost translucent, with darker suction shapes running along the underside. Its legs were short compared to the rest of it, bent at angles that didn't match human joints. One foot looked clawed, the other pressed flat. The head looked almost human until the seam under its chin opened. The false face stayed still, while the seam split with a soft tear. Warm, sour breath pushed out. The seam split wider. A tube shot forward and latched onto Kai's neck. Kai didn't even scream before it hit him. Then the creature lunged with a heavy, wet impact. Tendrils wrapped his chest in fast pulses, each contraction locking tighter. The wet clicks overlapped suction, testing grip. Kai's boots scraped stone. Get it off me! Rhea! Eli! Somebody! I grabbed a loose rock. Tamsin grabbed one too. We threw at the same time. The stones hit the creature's shoulder and slid off like they'd hit wet rubber. Tamsin dropped to her knees and tried to wedge her hands between the coils and Kai's chest. The tendrils contracted again, faster. She jerked back like she'd touched something live. I slammed another rock against his arm. The impact thudded against my palm more than the creature. It didn't react. Come on, please, I said, breath shaking. Tamsin lunged again, fingers hooking Kai's sleeve. The creature jerked him higher and she lost her grip. Tamsin, pull! I lurched forward. Eli's arm locked around my waist and hauled me back. Stop, he said. You'll die. The suction deepened, a dragging pull, then a thick swallow. Kai clawed at the tube. His fingers slipped, his nails scraped the ridges. Help me! I'm trying, Kai. I'm trying, I said, voice breaking. The creature groaned, a deep, vibrating sound. Kai's voice thinned. Rhea, help! I tried to move again. Eli held me back, voice low and sharp. Don't. You can't help him. Another swallow. Kai's skin tightened. His cheeks sank. His eyes withdrew under pressure. Tamsin sobbed. It's drinking him. Oh God, Kai! Kai's arms dropped. The creature made one final swallow. Deep and final. The kind that pulled the air with it. It lifted him, and his body sagged in ways it shouldn't have. Whatever the creature had done inside that tube, it had emptied him in more ways than blood. The skeletal structure that made him human had been drawn out of him, or dissolved, or or transferred into the thing holding him. His body didn't hold its shape anymore. The skin sagged in places where bone should have kept form. His legs bent wrong, soft at the joints. His torso folded inward, like the creature's suction had pulled the rigidity out of him. Kai's headlamp slid off first. It hit the stone with a dull clack and rolled in a slow circle. His boots followed, dropping from his feet like they'd been hanging on by habit instead of structure. The creature adjusted its grip. Kai's arm swung loosely, boneless, the sleeve collapsing around it. Tamsin choked on a sound that wasn't a word. "Oh, God, Kai." "We have to move," I said, voice shaking. "We have to go, now." The seam under its chin widened again. Then it shoved what was left of Kai inside, swallowing in jerky spasms. "Run," Eli said. Go, Tamsin, move," I said, grabbing her arm. We ran. The tunnel narrowed. Our lights shook, stone blurred. Breath tore out of my chest in short, broken bursts. Behind us, something scraped. Eli stumbled. His boot caught on a ridge. He hit the ground hard. "Eli!" Tamsin shouted. I skidded to him. "Get up! Come on, get up!" He tried. His leg buckled. He fell again. Tamsin grabbed his arm. I grabbed the other. We tried to haul him up. His weight dragged us down instead. Gravel slid under our boots. The creature's breathing grew louder behind us. "Eli, please stand. Just stand," I said. He shook his head once. "Go." No, get up." "Go," he shouted. "It'll get all of us. Go." Tamsin sobbed. "Eli, don't." He grabbed her shirt, pulled her close, forehead almost touching hers. "Run," he said. "Please." The scrape behind us grew louder, closer. The air shifted with it. I pulled Tamsin. She fought me, reaching for him. "Eli, no. He pushed us both, hard enough that I hit the wall, hard enough that Tamsin stumbled forward. "Run," he yelled. We ran. Tamsin kept looking back. "He's trying to stand. He's trying." "Don't," I said. "Don't look." Behind us, Eli dragged himself upright on one leg. He braced against the wall, breath shaking, face twisted in pain. Then he did the one thing that saved us. He slammed his hand against the stone, hard, loud, again. "Hey," he shouted. "Over here. Come on." Tamsin screamed. "Eli, stop, please." He didn't stop. He hit the wall again. "Come on." The creature lunged. Eli screamed once, sharp, startled. Then the sound cut off under a heavy, wet seal. A deep suction pulled against the air, a low throbbing draw that vibrated through the stone. Another pull followed, louder, like something dragging liquid through a narrow tube. A thick swallow echoed down the passage. Then silence. Tamsin collapsed. I hauled her up. "We have to go. Tamsin, move." She sobbed. He's gone. "I know," I said. "Come on, move." The tunnel angled upward. The air warmed fast, thin and sharp in my throat. My lungs burned. Tamsin's breath came in sharp, broken sobs beside me. Behind us, something scraped. A wet drag, a grunt that vibrated through the stone. Don't stop, I gasped. Tamsin stumbled. I grabbed her arm and yanked her forward. Her headlamp beam jittered across the walls, making everything strobe. "It's coming, Rhea. It's coming," she sobbed. "I know. Just move." The tunnel opened into the chamber where we'd crawled earlier. The smooth and slick stone gleamed under our lights. Tamsin's boot hit it wrong. She slipped. Her knee slammed the ground. Her palm skidded. She cried out, breath catching. Get up! Come on, get up! I said, pulling her. I'm trying! Her voice cracked. The sound of the creature coming towards us crawled up my spine. Tamsin dropped to her knees at the crawl space. Her hands shook so hard she could barely brace herself. I can't, Rhea. Yes, you can. Crawl. She pushed forward fast, and her boots slid on the smooth stone. Her knee hit hard. Her hands skidded, palms scraping uselessly across the slick surface. Tamsin gasped, Rhea, I can't get a grip. I've got you. Come on, I said, grabbing her jacket. She tried to crawl. Her foot slipped again. She collapsed, breath breaking into sharp, panicked bursts. Behind her, the scrape grew louder, closer. The air shifted with it. No, she sobbed. It's right there. It's right. Please, Tamsin, move, I said, pulling harder. She reached for me. Her fingers shook. Her nails dug into my wrist. Rhea, help! I'm here. Just hold on. A tendril shot out of the dark. It wrapped around Tamsin's ankle with a wet snap. She screamed, high, raw. Rhea, it's on me. Get it off. I grabbed her wrists. Hold on. Don't let go. It's squeezing. The tendril tightened. Her ankle snapped with a second, louder crack. Her scream tore through the chamber. Ah! Rhea, my ankle! I'm trying, please, I tried with all my strength to pull her up, but the creature's hold was strong. The creature moved behind her, tall, thin, ribs showing through gray skin. Its two long arms hung low, tendrils twitching in fast pulses. The false face stared past her. The seam under its chin widened. Warm, sour breath hit her back. It's climbing. Rhea, get it off, please. Keep your hands on mine. Don't let go. Don't. It's pulling me. The tendril twisted. Her femur gave way with a deep, sickening crack that echoed through the cave. Tamsin screamed again, breath breaking apart into fragments. Rhea, please. I'm sorry. I am so sorry, I said, voice shaking so hard the words barely formed. She tried to drag herself forward with her arms, elbows slipping on stone. The creature lifted her by the ruined leg. Rhea, she gasped, reaching. I lunged, grabbed her wrist, but the tendril jerked her back. Her fingers slipped, her nails tore. The creature lunged. I screamed her name. Her hand tore out of mine. The creature dragged her into the dark. Her scream cut off under a wet, sucking sound. Then silence. The scream ripped out of me before I knew I was making it. My hands were still reaching for her even after she was gone, fingers curled like they could drag her back through solid dark. Then my body moved. I didn't decide to run. My legs just fired. Stone scraped under my boots. My shoulder hit the wall. My headlamp swung wild arcs that made the tunnel strobe. I sobbed, breath tearing out of me. My lungs seized. My chest felt like it was folding in on itself. Every inhale came in sharp, broken gasps. The creature was still on my tail. Don't look, just move, I whispered, voice shaking so hard it barely sounded like words. The crawl space appeared ahead. I dropped to my knees so fast they slammed the stone. Pain shot up my legs. My palms skidded. I shoved myself forward, elbows hitting rock, ribs scraping the narrow walls. Please, I whispered. Get out. The stone felt like it was squeezing me. My foot slipped. I kicked hard, boots scraping for traction. My breath broke into a sob. A wet drag echoed behind me. No, I whispered, crawling faster, nails scraping stone. Don't be close. The tunnel widened. My headlamp beam hit the mouth of the cave, a thin slice of daylight. Go, 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 I gasped. I lunged. I burst out of the cave and hit the ground hard. Wet leaves cushioned nothing. The sunlight stabbed my eyes. My lungs locked. I rolled onto my back and stared at the sky like it wasn't real. No birds, I whispered. No wind. Just my heartbeat slamming against my ribs. I pushed myself up. My legs wobbled. My vision tunneled. The tree swayed even though the air didn't move. I staggered forward. My boots slipped on leaves. My breath wouldn't settle. Every shadow between the trees looked like something waiting to grab my ankle. Don't stop, I whispered. Don't stop. The trail twisted. My headlamp bounced against my chest with every step, the strap digging into my collarbone. My hands shook so hard my fingers felt numb. Halfway down the trail, my foot caught on a root. I dropped to my knees. Dirt filled my palms. Tamsin, I whispered. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The word cracked in my throat. I forced myself up. My legs felt hollow. My shoulders shook. I kept moving. The trees thinned. The gravel lot appeared through the branches. The car sat exactly where we left it. Sunlight hit the windshield. Everything looked normal. Wrong. Wrong. I stumbled to my car and leaned against the door. My whole body trembled. My breath came in short, sharp pulls. Okay, I whispered. Okay, you're out. You're out. Just breathe. It didn't help. I opened the door and slid inside. My hands hovered over the wheel. They wouldn't stop shaking. I pressed my forehead to the steering wheel. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm so sorry. The words broke apart. They didn't stop the sound of her bones snapping. They didn't stop the image of her fingers slipping out of mine. I turned the key. The engine roared. I flinched. Drive, I whispered. Just drive. Just go. The tires crunched over gravel. The forest slid past the windows. Every shadow looked like something reaching. Every bend in the road felt like it hid a tendril waiting to drag me back. My breath wouldn't settle. My chest felt tight and my fingers locked around the wheel until they hurt. Halfway down the road, I had to pull over. My vision blurred. My throat closed. I couldn't breathe right. I pressed my palms to my eyes. They're gone, I whispered. They're gone. The words didn't feel real. None of it felt real. The sunlight through the windshield felt wrong, like it didn't belong to the same world I'd just crawled out of. I tried to breathe. It came out in short, broken gasps. Tamsin, I whispered. Eli, Kai. Their names felt heavy, like stones in my mouth. I leaned back in the seat and stared at the ceiling. My heartbeat thudded in my ears. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Her voice echoed behind my ears. Not words, just the way she said my name. The way her fingers slipped. I won't forget, I whispered. I won't. I put the car back in gear and drove. The forest disappeared behind me, but the cave didn't. It stayed right there, under my skin, breathing with me.
Hello, this is Mark Mathern, here with my witch story. This is a rough draft of part 1 of what will be a 15-part series. Part 1 is called Ebenezer Blackwood. Elliot Blackwood was awoken in his sleep by a voice in his head, whispering, "Wake up, Elliot. Go outside now," in a soft but hypnotically demanding tone. Almost as if led by a leash, he stepped over his lovely pregnant wife, put on his slippers and robe, and went on to his front lawn in the wee hours of the darkness. Out of the earth before him on his front lawn came dust From this red dust came a cloud. From this cloud came a form, the most evil form imaginable. Red skin shaped like a man, but with the feet of cloven hooves, long fingers ending in his 6-inch claws, larger than any bear. A hideous face with huge fangs, and a mouth slightly protruded, filled with razor-sharp teeth. A bestial nose much like a bat's. The eyes glowing red were too dominating to look into. Huge bat-like ears and large horns, curved back much like a ram's. He opened his mouth and spoke loudly, although he knew he made no noise, which would have woke his wife, but directly channeled into his head. "Child, do you know who I am?" "Satan, the devil, be gone with you. I'm a Protestant Christian." "Shut up, monkey, and listen. You will have a son next month in your human calendar, January. This child will be immortal. He is my son. It is not you who made your wife with child 8 months ago. He will age 1 year every 50, starting with his 25th year. He will have 11 female descendants, each with extended life, aging 1 year every 5 years. His wife that he takes also only age 1 year every 50. She will be the first of his coven. All of your descendants will be witches, each using a different type of magic, starting with your wife using magic of the stars. She will be the most powerful. From then on, each firstborn daughter in the lineage of your daughters and their daughters, and any additional daughter of your wife, also witches, until 11 more, making a full coven of witches equal to 13, the number of me, the beast. Lucifer, representing the 13 full moons in a year. These daughters will be born every 30 years after the first. Starting at age 25, they will age 1 year every 5 years. In order, their magic powers will be stars, sun, life, death, moon, earth, fire, air, water, animals, and plants. When all 13 have reached adulthood, you will be able to perform a ritual to open a gateway to hell, so all of my fallen angels, demons, and devils can walk the earth to enslave all mankind. An old man and woman will come for the child, upon which to take him away, raise him, and teach him the witching ways, and pay you 1,000 pounds coins. You will be rich. Go now, sleep. You will not tell your wife or see me again." And so a month passed, and his wife gave birth to a baby boy. That January the 12th, in the year of our Lord 1600, on the outskirts of Liverpool, England, the night of his birth, just as premised, a man and woman in their late 50s, both extremely well dressed and groomed, came with that sack of 1,000 pounds, and took the young boy, without words spoken, drove off in their covered chariot coach. They head off towards London, and that man and his wife never were to see their son again. His parents were Gertrude Blackwood and Elias Blackwood, whose royal lineage dated back to the 13th century, and he himself was a duke. They lived in a large estate with tall fences, guard dogs, and armed guards on duty at all times. They lived in a 3-story mansion with a lavish garden, bright and colorful, as well as a 2-story basement and cellar filled with dark, sidious, and evil doings. Elias was 140 years old, and Gertrude was 130 years old, each appearing in their mid to late 50s. In 1602, after his second birthday, Gertrude told the young boy, "Your name is Ebenezer. Say it with me, Ebenezer." The very smart boy did his best repeating, "Ebenezer? Ebenezer?" She said, "You're going to be the most powerful witch in the history of the world, but you must keep it a secret from everyone until the time is right."
The audio was marginally better.
Are you not even going to say happy birthday?
It is not your birthday.
It's the channel's birthday.
That sounds inauthentic.
Leave.